Good morning and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Abby and this is Haymaker Haven Homestead. Today we are going to be doing a organization and tour of all of our food storage. So most of that is down here. Some of it is upstairs. Some of it is in freezers out in the garage. But first I'm going to do some organization. I was sitting around being lazy today. I was like, I don't want to film, but that is why I am in my comfy clothes. So I'm just going to organize all of these things here. This room is multiple purposes. It's not just food storage. So down here we have some just regular storage stuff. And then the other side of the room is my mom's work area, where she does her scrapbooking and crafting stuff. So this room is multi-purpose, but we make it work. And one thing that really helps is when it's actually organized. So I will put the chapters down in the bottom of the video if you guys don't want to watch the actual organization and just want to skip to the tour.
Editing Abigail here, and I just wanted to pop in to say thanks for watching my video. I hope that you stick around and subscribe to my channel and like this video. But this project for me is actually quite fun. I enjoy just putting on a show to watch while I organize some things. A lot of time I spend just standing there thinking and trying to figure out where's the best place to put things for the people that have to use this space. So that's why a lot of the time I'm just kind of standing around and it looks like I'm not doing anything, but a lot of it is just moving things around and stopping to think about what is best for that space.
So we are back. The food storage is completely organized. This is a couple days later. If you cannot tell, I'm wearing different clothes. And I'm just going to walk you through all of the food storage, what we have here. Now, a lot of this stuff is going to be empty jars, partially because I didn't can as much as I wanted to this past year, but also because it's getting into the middle of winter. So even if we had canned more, we wouldn't have a ton because we have been eating through what we do have. So another thing that I will say is that the food storage is always changing depending on the time of year that we're in, depending on how much food is left. So for example, it made sense to move most of the food onto these shelves so they're more easily accessible. But right after the summer, it makes more sense to put them over here for organization. There's more storage there, all of those things. So it kind of changes based off of what we have actually in the food storage. So we will start right over here on this shelf. Just getting started, we'll go from top to bottom. So on the top here, I have some more empty jars. These are regular mouth and wide mouth quart-sized jars. And then up here, we have all of our winter squash. There's not too much left, but we are storing them here for now. And then this side is all random jars, so not really canning jars. I have some honey jars there. I have an oil dispenser, stuff like that. And then my half-gallon and gallon jars are also stored up there. Moving to this shelf, we have just regular mouth pint jars. And then this shelf is wide mouth pint jars. And then also 2 boxes of other jars. I'm not sure exactly which ones those are, but those are full of jars. Then moving down, we have our applesauce. I canned about 50 quarts of applesauce for us this year. And as you can see, the color varies a lot. It just depends on it depends on the varieties of apples that I use. All of my applesauce gets cooked the exact same way. I just cook all the apples down in a little bit of water and then I run them through my food mill. You can see that in my 5 ways to preserve apples video. But depending on how dark the skin is, or how red the skin is, I guess, it changes the color of the applesauce. So we have about 30 jars left of applesauce, if my calculation is correct. And then I also did some raspberry applesauce, which I just made it like normal applesauce, but then I also added raspberries to the batch. If I did this again, I would probably add honey or some other type of sweetener because raspberries are not super sweet. They're a little bit tart, and so it is not a very sweet applesauce. I would probably do it differently next time that I did it. Next, we have down here some tomato juice. I tried the method of freezing all my tomatoes before I preserved them. And so whenever they thawed out, there was lots of tomato juice or tomato water. I actually used this to make some Spanish rice this week. That was very good. It was the first time that I've actually used the tomato juice, but I'm probably here soon going to make a big batch of like veggie soup, and this would be a really good base for veggie soup. I did that last year and had them packed away in containers for the freezer, and it's so nice because you can just pull one out, thaw it out, and then just heat it up in the microwave, or you can pop it out of the container that it's in and just heat it up on the stove, and it is already made soup. I made mine at the beginning of last year, and I think that we still have a little bit left. So tomato juice is really good for that. Next, moving down here, back behind these two boxes, we have more boxes like this of jars that are full, and these are just extra regular mouth pints. And then over here, we have extra jelly jars. I used a lot of my jelly jars this year for making jams and apple butter and such. So I don't have a whole ton of those left. And then down here, I have my half pint jars. I'm trying to find things that are good to actually can in these. There's not a whole lot that is great to can in them, but I need to do some research. They are good for like stuff that's not necessarily canned, so like herbed salts or stuff like that. And then the last thing over on this shelf is my water. I don't know if I've talked about this in a video before, but in an emergency, one of the first things to go is water. And for us, we have a well, which I guess technically we could pump it. I don't know if we have the capability to pump our own well, but our water runs off of electricity. So if our electricity is out and we don't have a generator, we are out of luck for water. And so I noticed that when we were going to be getting snowstorms or bad windstorms, we would always fill up every pot in the house, and we were all scrambling to get as much water as we could. And for flushing toilets and stuff like that, it's not a huge deal because we have a pool. So if worst comes to worst, if it's not the winter, obviously, we can scoop water off of the pool and flush our toilets. But for actual drinking water, it's really nice to have sterile water. So I don't just can big batches of water. I think that would be silly. But what I do is I take my jars that are not necessarily like ball canning jars. So I'm not risking a whole lot, I guess. Not all jars are rated for canning. And so what I would do, for example, my canner fits 7 jars. So if I only had 6 jars of applesauce or 5 jars of apple juice, I would fill up a jar or 2 of water, put it in there, and can it for whichever takes longer. So if it's the juice or the water, I would can it, and then I have shelf-stable water. The reason that you can't just put water in a jar and close it up is because it could grow bacteria and all these other things that you don't really want in your water. So this is really nice, and like I've heard so many people say, a full jar takes up just as much space as an empty jar. So we are using the lids, and they are kind of being not wasted, because we do use this sometimes, but essentially you're using up a lid that you could use for something else. But sometimes I will use already used lids just in case the water doesn't, just in case it doesn't seal. I wouldn't want to use used lids or non-tanning rated jars for product that I spent a lot of time on. So that is it for the jars. I'm not sure how much I have down there, but there's quite a bit. And next we will just move over here. I made this dowel system. I'm hoping to maybe make one more so that I can have one for wide mouth and one for regular mouth rings, but they're super easy. I found myself kind of frustrated with these. They work, but it's kind of annoying. And when I need a lot, if I'm doing like a really big day, it's nice to have those because I can bring the whole thing up. But if I'm just doing a small canning project, it's nice to just use these and just grab however many I need. Now we will move up here to this shelf up here. I have my big canning pot. This was my grandmother's canning pot. I actually just got a new rack for it for Christmas because the other one that I had was rusting. So I need to clean this pot out a little bit and maybe find something to make it not rust. I'm not sure exactly, but this is my water bath canning pot. I do not have a pressure canner. I have not ventured into pressure canning yet, but I will let you guys know when I do. It's kind of scary to me. So we will move on to the actual canned food. Right here I have my peaches in just regular syrup. These are peaches in sweet tea. I will definitely make a video on that this summer. These are so delicious. Imagine peach tea flavored peaches. That's what this is. And then I have my juices over here. I have Concord grape juice. I have apple juice and cranberry juice. And then I will move over here. Just some random other ingredients. I have an olive oil that's already opened, our liquid smoke. This is not bourbon whiskey. This is vanilla extract, and so is this. This is also vanilla extract. I just started this batch like a couple weeks ago, so it is not yet ready. And then I have some blackstrap molasses from Azure Standard. Moving on down here, this is most of our powders and or spices and herbs and such. But I just have a jar of apple cider vinegar back there. That is freeze-dried pumpkin powder, pumpkin puree powder. I haven't used that yet. I kind of forgot that it was down here, so it's good that I organized. I will try and find something to use that in. And then I have just some bulk spices that we bought here. These are some random spices that we have duplicates of. And then I have some ranch seasoning and basil, parsley. Upstairs I have some dried mint that I grew in my garden. And then this is Celtic sea salt. I did not do a lot of tomato products this year, but over here I have salsa, and this is pizza sauce, and then I have some marinara sauce, and these are store-bought pickles that someone gave to us. Then we have some bread and butter pickles here. These are delicious. And then some pickled beets, and these are all of my jams and jellies. I have apple butter. These are strawberry jam. This has maple walnut topping that my aunt gave me. Then we have blueberry lemon jam. I believe this one is nectarine jam. And then this one's nectarine jam. And this is peach jam. Very delicious, very good. Over here, I have another big pot. This one I also have canned in. It works fine. but mostly I will use it when I'm doing big batches of things. So salsa, sauce, stuff like that. My big, I think maybe 20 quart bowl. I'm not sure exactly how big this is. And then these are some freezer containers for my aunt and my garlic that I grew in the garden last year. And then back here I have just all of my lids. These are regular mouth lids, and then I have some containers of wide mouth lids. And then there's some other random things back here. I have like my pickling lime, pickling spice, pectin, other stuff like that that really only gets used when I'm canning, so I don't want to keep it in the regular kitchen. If you look up there, there's just more empty jars. I'm really hoping to up my canning game this year and be able to can a lot more foods. And now we will move on to this shelf down here. There are two different bins here. This one is all dry foods that are just being stored in here. I'm not going to pull the whole thing out, but there's like extra flour, there's extra sea salt, stuff like that, that is just being stored in here. And then this is paper products and such. We'll open this because I'm not sure exactly what's in here. But we have some paper straws, some extra parchment paper, some gallon-sized Ziploc bags, this random tin. Then I have some 2-gallon buckets. I have a 1-gallon jar of quinoa from Azure Standard. And then I have some 2-gallon buckets with these really nifty Gamma Seal lids. And those have popcorn, dry chickpeas, and cashews in them. And then over here, you can't really see it, but there are 2 boxes back here. This one has different vinegars, so red wine, white wine, and balsamic vinegar. And then the one in the back has a case of this olive oil that I got for a really good deal from somewhere. And then the last thing for this room is down here. I have a box of extra jars down here, and then this right here is my what's it called? My steam juicer, which I've showed you guys me using that before. Love my steam juicer. So this is the next area that we have for food storage. Right now this is very messy and I do have to organize this, but that will not be in this video. But these 2 boxes up here are just random storage stuff, and the rest of it is all of my food vacuum sealing and also my freeze drying supplies. So a lot of this that you can see right now is my freeze drying supplies because I've been using them. So I have my demister, some more oil, the oil filter, and then up there, those Mylar bags are freeze-dried fruit. So I have apples and strawberries there. And then back here, I have some more freeze-dried food. There's some celery and some marshmallows. And then back in those boxes back there. And then this box is more Mylar bags. And then right here, I have my, if I can grab it, I have my Food Saver vacuum sealer. I really enjoy this one. It's super easy to use and it wasn't super expensive. And then I have some rolls there of extra vacuum sealer bags. The last thing that I will show you guys before we go out to the garage is these last couple things here. So these are those mints that I was telling you about, the different types of freeze-dried mint that I grew in the garden. And then I have some 5-gallon buckets here. These ones are sugar and rice, and there's one in the other pantry that has oats in it. Now we are out in the garage, and here we have our secondary fridge freezer. This is our old one after we just got all new appliances in our kitchen. It is not plugged in right now, but it is very nice, especially during the summer when I have lots of things pickling or fermenting. They can just sit right in here. We can plug it in and it's great. And there's also extra freezer space down here. But the last area that we have is our freezers. We've had this freezer. I believe that the former owners left it when they moved in. It's just a Frigidaire stand-up freezer. And that one right here, we got new this year. I finally convinced my parents to buy a chest freezer. So I will go through this one first because it is pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of variety in here. This is mostly meat. So we were able to get 4 deer from my family and a family friend, and we had it all butchered. A lot of it is ground beef, or ground venison. I believe next year we will probably ask for them to cut more steaks and more roasts, just because we eat a lot of ground meat, but we would love to have more steaks. And also, I want to be able to make more jerky. I'm planning on potentially making ground meat jerky, but I would also like to make standard jerky. So the best way that I have found to store ground or any type of meat, I've seen this from many different people, is to just buy bags like this, reusable grocery bags. It has worked really well. And for us, we put just 1 cut of meat in each bag. So there's like 3 or 4 bags here of ground venison. They just come in these 1-pound packages. So there's about 2.5 to 3.5 bags in here. And then we also have our butterfly steaks. My mom loves making butterfly steaks for dinner. And then there's also some loins and fillets and stuff like that in here. And then I also have lots of hot dog buns. I will show you guys soon in my freezer clean out videos that I'm going to be releasing, all about how I'm using these. Mostly I'm going to be using them to make croutons, which are delicious. So I have lots of these left over. There's also a bag of beef bones in here that I got from the butcher when I picked up our venison. I just asked them if they had any beef bones, and I actually used it to make this broth over here, which I will show you in just a minute. And because this doesn't have a lot of variety, this freezer does not need too much organization done to it. The other freezer, though, I'm planning to inventory and organize it a little bit so that we can kind of make a meal plan based off of the food that's in there so that we can use up that food to hopefully meet my goal of having at least this freezer cleared out and being able to be defrosted by the end of May so that it can be filled up for next year. Next, we have down here the venison. The deer got sent to 2 different butchers. So one of the butchers did the ground meat in packs like these, which are super nice. They're so easy to thaw out. They thaw out much quicker than the round tubes. So we have some more ground venison. And then over here, I have some slaw that I made. This is just Amish vinegar-based slaw. There's quite a few pints of that in here. And then, like I said, I have lots of beef broth in here that I made with the other beef bones that I had. So I will slide this shelf over. There's just more hot dog buns, more ground venison, and this last one down here is all steaks. So these are all the big steaks. These are 2 massive steaks. I'm not sure exactly what cut this is. So lots of big steaks in here. We might have to have a big steak dinner soon with the family. So that is it, I believe. Oh, I forgot something. In the way bottom here, there are a couple quarts of applesauce that I froze. It was intended to give out as Christmas gifts to people, and I forgot. So these are applesauce also down in here. Moving on to the stand-up freezer. It's not a super mess. I've kind of organized it a little bit. I don't know how much I will need to do, but I'm just going to walk you through generally what's in here, and then as I clean out my freezers, I will show you more in depth eventually. So some beautiful French toast sticks. And then I have some homemade freeze pops that I made, and just some random bananas here. Then I have some freezer peach plum jam that I made last year, some more slaw, some more applesauce, I believe this is. More applesauce. This is that, I believe, yes, this is that veggie soup that I was telling you guys about. Very delicious, super easy to make with that tomato juice. And then down here, this is actually a little bit funny. So everyone loves Texas Roadhouse butter, and if you don't, well, I don't know what I have to say to you. But we had an event at the youth group, and they gave us a ton of Roadhouse butter. They donated a bunch of rolls to us, and there was a ton of butter left over, so I scooped it all into this container and that container down there and froze it, and we will pull it out sometimes if we have big meals. It's just a fun treat to have on bread. So how this is generally laid out right now, I haven't inventoried it and I haven't done a deep organization. But right now it's mostly fruit on these top two shelves, random stuff in the middle here, and then veggies on the bottom. So here I have some raspberries from Azure Standard. I need to use those up here soon. And then I have another box, I don't know if you can see it, but I have another box of raspberries in here. And then I have a couple bags of vacuum sealed mixed fruit that I made. And then I have some rhubarb that I saved. All I did was cut it up and freeze it. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with this yet, just because we don't eat a whole ton of rhubarb, but I had it, so I cut it up. I need to find something to use it in. Maybe I'll try my hand at making barbecue sauce again. Who knows? Then up here we have tons and tons of blueberries. My grandparents have a huge blueberry orchard. It's beautiful. We always get blueberries there. Last week I had blueberries from someone's house. They were just like generic store brand frozen blueberries, and I literally almost spat them out. I didn't, but they were not good. Not good at all compared to those. Then I have some just vacuum sealed bananas here. I should probably pull these out to use for making banana bread or something of the sort. And then just more mixed fruit. There's a bag of peaches here. And leave a comment down below if you have any ideas of food and recipes and stuff like that that I should make with this food that I have stored. I'm thinking about maybe making some fruit leather with all this fruit in here. So moving on, down here we have some, I believe these are apples. Whoa! We have Alaskan salmon that my mom bought. These are apples, just 2 big gallon-sized bags of apples. Ow! That really hurt. But it is okay. I am okay. Then I have some lime juice that I came into a whole bunch of limes, and I juiced them all and froze the juice. Next, this shelf is, the rest of it is all strawberries. I will buy big flats of strawberries from the farmer's market, and all I do is cut the tops off and freeze them. So we love using those. Moving on, these are, this is summer squash. This is yellow summer squash that I just cubed up. I think it might be blanched. I probably blanched it. I don't see why I wouldn't have, but that is in there. Then this bag here is all food scraps, veggie scraps from making different recipes and such that I will use whenever I go to make my next round of beef broth or chicken broth, whichever comes first. Then I have, let's see here. Whoa. This is pureed nectarines. This is probably something that I will use to make fruit leather for sure. I just pureed all those and froze them because I couldn't deal with them at the time. And this is peach puree, so kind of the same thing. I will probably use these to make fruit leather. Moving on down here, we just have some peppers. These are just chopped yellow bell peppers that are vacuum sealed and frozen. There's also some corn down here, more corn. And these are the Cooler Shock ice packs. I bought them for the farm stand to put in the coolers with the eggs. Then down here, I have more chopped peppers. These peppers are in 2-cup portions, so I can easily just pull them out for a recipe that I need, which is super convenient. Then I have down here some green beans that were blanched and frozen. Then this is a mystery. Oh, no, I know what this is. This is frozen, obviously. It is pumpkin puree that I cooked and froze. And just some more peppers. This is shredded zucchini, also in 2-cup portions, that I will use probably for zucchini bread. Getting to the back here, more chopped peppers. Whatever this is. Oh, this is the excess from chicken wings. We had to cut off parts of the chicken wing, and so I saved it probably to use for chicken broth, but I'm not sure. Then we have a beautiful Marie Callender lemon meringue pie that's half eaten. And just a couple ice blocks. And then the last thing down here is more puree. This is nectarine puree. I did not realize that I had this much down here. So I think that one of my first jobs to do to clear this out will be to make some fruit leather. Let me know down below if you have ever made fruit leather, and I would love to hear some recipes for it. I've tried it before, but it hasn't always turned out the best. So I would love to hear your guys' opinions, but that is all for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys next week. Have a great day.